In the name of God, known to us as the Creator, the Redeemer and Sanctifier of the world, the one true God, Blessed Trinity. Amen. Please be seated. In this season between All Saints and All Souls and the Feast of Christ the King, our thoughts turn to the coming of the kingdom, as I said at the beginning of our worship together. We enter into the season of, especially in the Gospels, what's affectionately known as the hard sayings. Every year, preachers around the world get to this point in the lectionary and go, "Oh, isn't it time to start the next year's readings yet?" Because they're hard and they make us uncomfortable and they're difficult with which to tussle. But this is also a season of remembering. For we start this season with this great 3 days of holiness of Hallowtide, All Hallows Eve, All Hallows, All Saints and All Souls. And we finish this season with the Feast of Christ the King, where we remember and give thanks that Christ is King of all, ruler of the world. And these hard readings, these difficult readings for us to hear throughout this season, engage us in a way that the writer of the second letter to the Thessalonians was talking about when he wrote to this fledgling faith community. They've been distressed, they've been shaken, and they're alarmed. And it makes us think of that catchphrase from a few years ago, "Be alert but not alarmed." And that's what the writer of the letter to the Thessalonians is saying. You've been deceived. People have written to you and said that it's me. People have told you things that they said have come from me. And you've forgotten what it was that I told you. You've forgotten the things that you need to apply to test the truth. So don't be deceived. Trust yourselves. Remember what I told you. Remember how I taught you, and apply those tests when you're coming to discern wisdom. And in the gospel, that's what we have, a test. Some Sadducees, Luke tells us, who didn't believe in the resurrection, paint this fanciful, hypothetical, ridiculous in the extreme story. You know, I'm tempted to say it's a miracle that the woman died after the 7th husband. That poor woman. 7 husbands. And all of them died. It's a fanciful story, exaggerated for a purpose. What we can miss is that line in the very first line. This group of Sadducees did not believe in the resurrection. And they're trying to trick Jesus. They're trying to trip him up. They're trying to give a test to shake things. But Jesus brings them back to remember what it is that they know. Moses at the bush encounters the God who says, "I'm the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob." We're talking about people who are living now in the resurrection. I haven't forgotten. Why have you? Jesus calls them to remember what they have learned, and to apply that wisdom, that knowledge, as the discerner of truth in the test. The call to us is exactly the same. Do we remember, and the word remember, making real again? It's what we do at the Eucharist when we hear the story told afresh each time we celebrate communion. That on the night before he died, Jesus took bread. We remember, we make this real again. We bring the pieces together and it lives again for us. Do we remember the things that we have been taught, the wisdom that we have learned? And do we apply that wisdom as the test, as the litmus for that which might be seeking to trouble us, to deceive us, to shake us, to alarm us? Last night, we had a wonderful celebration of baptism and confirmation. And part of the period of preparation of these young people was teaching them that same wisdom, those same truths, so that that's in their tool bag of life to apply for themselves when faced with situations or things that they're being told, and to use that as the standard and the test point. Things like, is this of God? Is it of Christ? Is it something which is self-serving or self-seeking? Is it something which is holy? Is it something that we know to be true because we have tested it in the Scriptures and the Church has tested it in its teaching? It all sounds very technical when we put it like that, but deep down we know it ourselves. And that's what Jesus does with these Sadducees. Deep down you know. Make all the hypotheticals you want. Make them as exaggerated as you like. But deep down, you know the truth. And the truth silences those who would shake an alarm. For the truth liberates us from all that binds us to the things which would distract. So a hard season, yes, but a season of remembering. So over these next few weeks, take the time to remember, take the time to refresh, take the time to rest, resting in the one who is the resurrection and the life. Amen.